Welcome back to USS Cod Submarine Memorial. We're joined today by most of our battery replica team. We've got Jim Newton, we've got curator Ben Yankee, and Dr. John Bradrick. Missing is Phil McCourt. Did he have a court date or something? Anyway, he can't be with us. But these guys really combined their efforts, and the fruit of their labor, one of the fruits is this, I'm going to say it, museum grade replica of a Sargo II battery, one of the 252 battery cells that would provide power for a fleet submarine when it's under the water. And it's just amazing. We just took delivery from Jim's workshop. How did this program get started? Who came up with this idea?
Looking at me, it was my idea to make a replica battery to place below deck so our visitors could see what we were talking
About powering the boat. And of course there are no end of Sargo II batteries in the belly of Ling, which sadly is off the table. Who else? Bakuna has a full set of batteries, but they're guppy batteries. And of course our friends on the Blueback, they have much more modern batteries. So actual World War II Sargo II batteries, they're bigger than the guppy batteries. They're hard to come by. So yeah, the thought was always in my mind, maybe we could build a box just to kind of say that's the size. But then John, I think maybe we're going to give credit too to Jim. Jim did a beautiful job of replicating one of the several Mark II of the demolition crates. And that really kind of put gas to the project. Of course, Ben, your role was?
Researching and finding all the blueprints for all the specifications, sizes, and what goes where on these.
So, suffice to say, we all learned quite a bit about batteries, and there is enough variation in manufacturers and you know, time period. So sticking to the blueprints solved a lot of problems. Let me ask you, is this an Exide or a Gould battery? Do we know?
Exide.
This is an Exide. Exide company out there, corporate donations here are just happily accepted. Without telling too many secrets, we knew that we would have to make this out of wood because he's our carpenter. Talk about some of the challenges. You still have all 10 fingers, right?
I still have all 10 fingers. I haven't cut anything off yet. The hard part, honestly, to begin with, was the size.
Yeah.
I mean, I took a trip in April to Muskegon, Michigan, to the Silver Side because they have three.
Hey, Keith.
Yeah, thank you, Keith. They have 3 batteries, but after I found out they're guppy cells and they're slightly smaller. And they were originally, they looked like plywood. So we're thinking, oh, we could do it plywood, but they're made out of
hard rubber.
Hard rubber, it's all rubber.
Yeah.
So then we're like, okay, well, we'll paint it in Flex Seal rubber paint.
Here, get a close up on this Flex Seal. I want them to kick in some money too. Come on in tight here. Yeah, we can record. This is Flex Seal, so we can coat some screen doors to make some painting rafts.
Yeah, we probably could.
Same stuff.
Yeah, same stuff.
All right. So this is one of several batteries, right?
This is going to be. There's going to be 2. This is the traveling one if we want to take it to shows, and then there's going to be one that we're going to put inside the sub. But the caveat with that is it doesn't fit through a hatch.
What were these guys thinking? Oh, wait a minute. It's Flex Seal Company. I'll ask them for money later.
Okay.
Yeah, so what were these guys thinking? You could have made the hatch an inch bigger and then we got no problems. But, so how are you going to adapt?
We're going to have to make it into a flat pack, kind of like IKEA.
Oh, man.
So it's all going to be...
I hate IKEA
It's got to be in
furniture.
6 pieces to fit through the hatch and then assembled once we get it inside.
Now, let me just give you some advice. Whatever you do, have the most obscure unfollowable instructions and make sure all the pictures are too small to see.
Okay.
Just like IKEA.
Right. Well, it's mostly in my head, so that's hard to see anyway. So.
Right. So that's the box. But now all of this stuff here, we can make boxes. By the way, talk about these little ribs here. They're there for a purpose.
When the batteries are in the cell, in the compartment, they're put against one another, and then wooden wedges are shoved between them so they do not rock back and forth.
Right. So one of the things we've learned, of course, is nomenclature. This battery jar is a cell.
It's a cell.
There are 126 cells in each battery. There are 2 batteries aboard. It's, it drives you crazy. So yeah, so there's a purpose for everything. Now let's talk about the top part. Did we have any of these pieces of hardware around to use?
Well, when we first started making these, no, we did not. And so we had to look at the blueprints as far as shape and size, and then those measurements from those blueprints were transferred to a computer-aided design program that we were able to then make 3D reconstructions, and then these were 3D printed.
Now, let me ask you, so when we started the actual 3D printing, what did we discover in one of Cod's many junk boxes?
It's an interesting point. We were down in the after battery just looking at some other things, and all of a sudden, I think it was Jim, or was it Ben? I can't remember.
It was me.
It was Jim. He looked at a coffee can that was full of a lot of rusted bolts and other metal pieces.
Keep talking, I'm gonna go get that part.
And then laying on the top of that can, on the very top, like it was waiting there to be found, was one of these knurled rings that are screwed down. And as far as we know, it's the only piece left over of Cod's batteries.
And if we weren't doing this project, we really didn't know what that ring was for. So, and
Well, hold on, I'm gonna, since Evan can't move. How's that for a close-up? This is heavy. That's actually quite heavy. So, Evan, get a close-up of that. That's, there's the real deal. Yeah, we found this, and this is the kind of thing where, for years we probably threw this around, probably tried to thought of making it some jewelry for goth people. Had no clue what that was until we got started on this. So we had one, and these are the terminals. So this is a screw down. It's got threading for these 8 anodes and cathodes. And this is kind of a, what is this, John? This is a prototype.
That was a prototype of the knurling, which we abandoned that design.
Well, and I see why, because the knurls are actually half of cylinders.
Half circles, yes.
Yeah, so again, we went that detail. So now we had Phil. That's where Phil McCourt comes into the project. Phil is the go-to guy for 3D printing, but given all the sizes, and we've got 2 full replica batteries, and we'll talk about the other aspects. So suffice to say, we needed a lot of these things and the ventilator caps. So we went to our friends at Parker Hannifin. Yay, thank you, Parker Hannifin. They stepped in and 3D printed the bulk of the things using some slightly different materials. And what was your, they certainly saved Phil McCourt a lot of grief. But they used some interesting materials, didn't they?
Yeah, we were using just a standard hobby 3D printing machine with a fiber that contained a plastic, and that's what we used for here. This particular device here, we also printed that, and printing that at home for Phil took 8 hours to print that one piece.
Oh my God!
I was home, and we collaborated on the whole thing, text messaging, and watched it and helped out on it. So when we went to Parker Hannifin, they suggested actually making it out of a newer process, which is nylon powder. And it's a process where nylon powder is annealed together and sintered and produces a solid object. And those are going to be on a subsequent set of batteries that we're making, and they're extremely detailed and very impressive.
So let's just give a little tour of the top. So we've got the 4 positive terminals, we got the 4 negative terminals. We have the nameplate, which Evan, if you want to come in or do it in a B-roll, this is cell number 76A for after battery, correct?
That's correct.
And where this will, it's analog, the one that will collapse and fit down. It'll be in our after battery. Now talk about what the heck this thing is.
That's called the filler vent cap, and what it does, it provides equalization of air pressure inside here, because one of the byproducts of charging this lead acid battery is hydrogen gas and accumulation, and you don't want that because it's explosive. So there is a sophisticated ventilation system that hooks on to this hose nozzle here for all batteries, and then is suctioned out of the battery well and is taken back to their diesel engines where it's burned. And what this does is there's a negative pressure on here from suctioning out the hydrogen gas, and air uncontaminated with the hydrogen then flows into the top. There's 2 big ductworks that allow fresh air to flow in to the battery compartments, fore and aft in each compartment. Air will flow down into here, and then it'll be suctioned out with hydrogen, so it maintains an equal air pressure inside the battery at all times.
So the battery doesn't burp out sulfuric acid, electrolyte. Not good.
Not good.
So we've got 2 other little cap things here. Let's start with the one that looks literally like a bottle cap. What is that for?
Well, unfortunately, that is on the blueprints, and that's the only place we have ever received any idea what the function of that is. We've looked and looked, and we don't know what the function of that is, but we decided to recreate it because it was on the blueprints.
Just because we don't know.
It could be an accessory cap or something, but we don't know. However, the second piece over here that is in kind of a hexagon shape, that is an acid tube cap, and you unscrew that, and you could withdraw acid out of the battery
with your hygrometer.
Hygrometer looks like a huge turkey baster, and you could measure the specific gravity to know the charge of the battery through that.
Let me ask our curator, Ben. Ben, do we have any hygrometer kits?
We do.
2.
We have 3 of them.
3 of them. Thank God for eBay. So this is the thing that the poor, lowly electrician's mate 3rd class had to go down every watch to check the gravities on the pilot cells. Now, there are 252 cells. He didn't have to check the gravities on all of them. And some of you electricians mates from Submarines are going to get back to us. Tell us how often you had to check the gravities of all the cells, and how many were pilot cells. I mean, someone told me a dozen, but so every watch you had a specific sampling that you would check the gravities. It's a way to check whether the charge is adequate. So this is the cap that you would unscrew, but we're not going to do that because this is a replica, and I think that's glued on.
Yes, it's glued.
So the actual terminals, they were tinned copper?
They were actually tinned copper, yes.
Okay, so here's a suggestion. Since this is going to be at some trade shows that we attend, that we set up, maybe we put some kind of a wire jumper and have a battery, like a little tube, like a light bulb glowing, you know? Just, I don't know. Hey, I'm the idea guy. Some of them miss, some of them are dead center. Maybe that's one of the misses. But anyway, so this thing, normally a fully intact cell with its electrolyte weighs how much?
1,650 pounds.
1,650 pounds. Now, this, you guys were offloading it from Jim's car. It didn't look like it was 1,600 pounds. What does this weigh?
The jar itself weighs 40 pounds. The base weighs 60 pounds, so it's a total of 100 pounds.
So you got some sand in here.
I have, there's a sand ballast in the bottom, so it won't tip over.
So little kids don't run up to it and sneeze on it and falls over. That's, yeah.
Correct.
Well, that's really good. And of course, we have it on this furniture dolly because again, this will be moving around at our trade show. So the one that we're going to put down in the crew berthing space, we're just going to have that with one place because we don't want to move that.
No, but we'll probably still ballast the bottom of it. Just
oh, absolutely. Okay. So this is just one of the ways that 3D printing, replicating missing parts that you can't go out and get really comes in handy. And And I can't thank these guys enough, and certainly Phil, who's not here, and our friends at Parker Hannifin for really stepping up and saving our bacon. But I just got to say that you know, the Flex Seal material really convinces me that this is a hard rubber jar, I tell you, I can't wait till we get the one that we're going to have on display. Of course, we'll have a small interpretive panel, so people don't think that this is what would this look? This looks like our ice cream machine, which is right across the aisle. This will be facing the Lang Sherman ice cream machine, which we've all been saying for years. The batteries are the same size as the ice cream machine, and damn, I didn't realize just how close they are in size. So anyway, that's our battery replication project. And well, wait a minute. Let's give them a little tease. I thought this was such a wonderful idea, but it's one cell, kind of in the crew berthing space. And I had talked years ago with our friends at the Pampanito. They were talking about maybe getting enough cells from wherever and putting them just below one of their battery hatches so they can open it, you'd look down and you'd see just enough to be convinced that there were 126 cells. Well, we use our after battery places for storage, research, where Evan sleeps when he's on duty, whatever. And yes, I'm picking on Evan, and he will be beaten later. So for those people that are forming a union for Evan, it ain't gonna work around here. Captain Bly's in charge. Anyway, so the thought was we can't do that in our after battery, especially since the hatch is under one of the dining room tables. But the forward battery is possible, but we have cement blocks in there. So the idea came, hey, maybe if Jim and Dr. Bradrick and our friends at Parker can make a number of these top plates, just the top plate, we can have those under the hatch such that you can open the hatch, or maybe we'll have an acrylic clear disc. You can step over it, you'll look down, and you will be convinced that COD has a full battery. So again, that's a longer range addendum to this project, but this is really the fruition of the replica process. So this paid the rent. So again, hit the like, subscribe, the notification bell, and we'll be back with more content. Thank you.